2004 Toyota Tundra with a blower fan that's not blowing. I'm going to show you where that blower fan is located and how easy it is to change. Hey, what's up YouTube? Dan the Fix-It Man. Got another quick video here for you. This is my 2004 Toyota Tundra, and my wife's been driving this around a bit, and she mentioned that the other day she went to turn on the air conditioning and the blower fan was not blowing at all. I told her to go ahead and kick the little blower motor, maybe thinking that if it was wearing out, that might rattle something loose and cause it to come back on, and it did. She said that that worked great, but unfortunately it's still been intermittent, so I'm thinking that we need to replace the motor. This has over 300,000 miles and it's about 20 years old, and those motors do wear out eventually. But let's get in there and I'll show you where it is and how easy it is to change that out. All right, the blower fan is right down here. Now, I just assumed that the blower fan motor was bad. I didn't actually get down here until just now, and I can see that the wiring is burned. That is burned. Wow, that melted the connector here and burned that wire. I guess this motor was just stuck and maybe pulling too many amps and it melted this wire. Now I'm just going to pull this connector first by pushing in here on the side and then pulling it down. Yeah, take a look at that. That's terrible. Oh, it's pretty warm too. I guess we need to order a new pigtail as well, but I wonder what caused that wire to burn. I wonder if something just shorted out in the motor or if it was just too much resistance and caused that to burn. Maybe when the motor was stuck. Maybe I'll do a quick amp draw test on the motor before I cut this and change this out, and we can see if the motor indeed is bad or pulling too many amps compared to the new motor. Well, I'm going to pull the blower motor out. It looks like we've got this plastic cover on here first, and that's just held in place by a couple screws. Now the blower motor is held in by these little 8mm screws. Now I'm just holding this up with my other hand while I unscrew this last screw. There it is. And then just gonna drop that blower motor down. You see how it's melted right there at those prongs? I don't know if it internally shorted or something happened or got in here and caused that to melt. Luckily, we didn't catch fire or anything like that. I'm thinking our motor is just worn out or burned up. Now, it seems to be working right now, but tapping that motor did get it to go or get it to work, but that tells me that it is worn out, and the brush material in there is just kind of rattling around and maybe shorted out and or just had too much resistance and burned up this connector. But all right, now I'm just gonna do a quick amp draw test on this old fan motor, because that's really what I suspect, is that this is going bad or pulling too many amps, which is what caused that connector to melt. So let's turn it on and take a look at the amps here at low. There's low, we're at 2.5 or 2.56. Let's step it up to the next speed. We're at 4.15, kind of settling in, 4.1. All right, now here's the next speed up. Now the meter kind of cut out for a second, but there it is. It's at almost 7 amps. All right, now here's the highest speed. The meter's not really happy with that because it's more than 10 amps. All right, now we were kind of pushing it here on the meter. Luckily, we didn't blow the fuse in the meter or anything like that, but that's just a quick and easy way to test that amp draw. Now, this wire here with the white stripe, that is the ground, and that's controlled by the blower resistor. That basically will vary the ground, which will control the different speeds of the motor. If you're stuck on one speed, that's usually because the resistor is bad and this is just stuck on high. Basically, that just completely grounds out the motor and gives it the full speed or the highest speed. So here with the new fan, I'm gonna plug this in and do the same resistance test, see what kind of amps the new motor was pulling and see if it's any different than the old motor. I hope it is. So let's turn this on to low. Okay, we're at 2.3. Next one, we're at 3.7, 3.75. Next level, we're at 6. And let's see if we get to high, what happens. Well, there you go. So high, we're topping out and settling in right at 9 amps. And that's really what I hope to see, is a smaller amp draw on this new motor. And as you saw, it was really topping out right around 9. So I'm pretty sure that's what our issue was, is just a worn out blower fan motor that was pulling too many amps and melted this wire. And of course, it kind of damaged the connector too. So I've got one of these ordered, and as soon as I get that, I'll button this back up, put it together, and we should be good to go. Now, if your fan is only working on one speed or it's defaulting to the high speed, you might have a problem with your resistor, or the resistor harness might be melted, or you might have another issue up here. There is a really simple test or resistance test that we can do on this blower resistor, and we don't even have to take it out of the vehicle. First thing we need to do is just disconnect the harness. I'm just going to use some hose clamp pliers here, push in on the side and wiggle it off like that. Now I'll put the diagram up here on the screen for you, but basically you're going to test between pins 1 and 4, pins 1 and 3, and between pins 1 and 2. And if it's not as specified, replace this blower resistor. Now this only has 2 screws holding it, but the top screw is kind of hidden, so you might need to get a really small little angled bit driver to get that screw out. Otherwise you have to take off this glove box panel to use a regular screwdriver. So I don't know if you can really fit a stubby in there, but in our case I'm going to leave it in there and run through these tests real quick. So we've got our meter set to ohms, and we'll do pins 1 and 4. There you go, 3.3. And then let's do pins 1 and 3, and we should have 1.9 to 0.1. There you go, 1.9. And then between pins 1 and 2, we should have 2.9 to 0.2, and those are the 2 on this side over here. And there you go, 2.9. So we know that our blower resistor is good. Again, that's just a really quick resistance test that you can do to verify that your blower resistor is good. So we're going to plug this back in. All right, well, I got the new connector and verify that that does plug into our new fan easily. So I'm going to cut and wire this in. Now, when you're looking for replacement parts, keep in mind that this connector and the motor are different in a double cab, which is what I have, versus an access cab or a standard cab. The connector is slightly different, so just keep that in mind. All right, we got the new pigtail installed. Now, I bought this one on eBay. That's really all that I could find, and I'll get a link in the description if you need one of these harnesses as well. But I think we're good. I think this will work just fine. Let's go ahead and put the new motor in now. Put this up here and get them all started. Now we can put this cover back on. And by the way, this cover I believe is only on the double cab models. I think it just keeps the blower motor a little bit quieter when it's running. All right, and then we can plug our motor in, and we should hear a click here. There we go. All right, well, there's the new motor installed with the new harness. Now we just need to put the key in the ignition. And moment of truth, let's turn it on. There it is. Well, it feels great. Lots of good airflow. All right, well, that was it. That's all it ended up being, was a bad blower fan, or a burned up blower fan that was creating too much resistance that caused our pigtail or our connector to also melt. You can see the damage on here, and there's the connector. Now, we're pretty lucky that this didn't end up burning up the truck. I mean, just when the fan motor goes bad and has too much resistance, that should not happen. It should definitely trip that fuse. Again, this still was working, but definitely going bad, and the resistance was so great that it caused this connector to melt. That may have happened when this froze up, and of course tapping on that did allow it to spin freely and did allow it to work a little bit longer. Now, unfortunately, I just saw on one of the Tundra forums that somebody's truck did burn to the ground because of this exact same thing. So just be mindful of that. You know, don't ignore this. If you do see that burned wire, you should definitely get that fixed. In our case, all we did was replace the motor and the pigtail. Our blower resistor looks like it is in good shape and it's working properly. Everything tested out fine there. Now, if you're trying to get the original one here, if you don't get it out of a junkyard, you can maybe find a replacement here. But the part number for this original Denso, this is 021904A. AY194000-9113, and it says that it's a 12-volt fan. So that might be something that you want to find, but in my case, I just ordered that cheap one on Amazon, and it seems to be working fine. I'll definitely update the description if I have any problems, but that's pretty much it. I hope you guys liked the video. Please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you don't mind. That does help me out. I'll get a link in the description to the replacement blower fan that I used, along with all of the tools and other parts I used in the video as well. Thanks so much for watching, and good luck.